One of the oddest things that I have to contend with is perspective. Uh, the fullness, the direction, the uh, disposition from where you're seeing things, how wide, how many different levels of perspective you're able to incorporate. So you got the physical, you got the psychological and emotional, and then you got the spiritual, all kind of simultaneously functioning at the same time within you, around you, and to see like the entirety of it. And then you have, space and time, which essentially means that you have a perspective that you follow through at least since the beginning of your time here on the planet, or even the time that you knew of the planet, or your understanding of the time of the existence of the planet. But I do this mental exercise, like fucking try to imagine like a cube where it's dimensional, it's got 3D spacing, and in each direction, each section is a 2D layer, just like a flat sheet. So you have like a stack of these white sheets, and they're all sort of a dimension, but they go this way, they go this way, they go this way. So they're all, interconnected. And, it's to think at the perspective of plaid. Every sheet has several different lines of code. Fuck. Explanations of things, basically, stacked on top of each other. So one is visible only to itself, the underneath is only visible to itself, and the adjacent lines, and they all interact, and they all shoot through this one cube or one sphere from different angles, from different, perspectives. And that the wholeness of it, if you were able to witness what those intersections, how they relate, and how they create the visible realm of entirety, something that God would have, then you get like a full perspective. That was probably a fucking lame explanation, because it's far more difficult for me to explain it than to think it. And so we're gonna put that one to rest. But let's keep it simple. This is in and out. My perspective is that this is the best fast food hamburger on the fucking planet in terms of being a chain. I've had Whataburger. I'm certain that people on the other side of this country think that Whataburger, Burger King, Fat Burger, Five Guys, any other burger is better, and they're similar, but we all have a parallel, similar perspection. Fuck, I'm hungry. I gotta eat. Oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Perspective is like how you see things because of what you have seen so far, and how those things were explained or introduced, or how they landed within you, the tinting of your lens, your biases, your way of seeing things, your filter that you see the world through. All those things were attached to you deliberately, forcibly, with goodwill, with malice. You know, it all depends. But regardless, we all have ways of understanding and seeing that why is it so fucking hard sometimes? It's the way it's made. Simply good ingredients in the simplest form with the least amount of molestation by corrupt agents. If you're gonna deep fry potatoes into fries, use the best oil that does the least harm to a human body. It's simple. If you're gonna make a hamburger, use just pure beef patties. It's simple, and it always astonishes me that from almost opening to closing, there's a line outside of In and Out, whereas the fast food joints within the same parking lot have maybe 10 customers per hour. Human beings yearn for the simple, the unadulterated, the uncomplicated, the unpoisoned, and I think we're gonna see a big kick back against all the shit in society that adulterated everything around us, including perspective. My last video, I addressed gratitude and thankfulness in a way where it was tailored, or with the perspective of things around in the 3D world, things that could be measurably in your way or burdening you in such a way where it's, you can't even be thankful for it. It costs so much energy to maintain it, to upkeep it, to have it around for no reason. But the deeper, or the first step ought to be if we're going to take inventory and exercise gratitude and thankfulness towards something that we possess, is what's within ourselves. The characteristics, the habits, the lessons that we've learned, the valuable perspectives that we hold and have, that actually benefit our lives, our existence here. And to know that we're limited is important, because that's the only way you could really be grateful for something in terms of its utility. So I am me, but if I'm not exercising me to expose the value of me, why would anybody, including me, be grateful for being me? what does me do? If I'm stationary and I'm not exhibiting any form of life, even though I have all this knowledge or practical experience or perspective or things that could benefit others and I share, that's still all me. But if I'm not exhibiting it, if it's not moving with the flow of life, if it's not being exposed for others to use and gravitate towards and maybe help them understand, then what good is it? What of me would I allow to be exposed that is value to others? What of me can I be grateful for, even though it came at a heavy price, if it did, when it did? Most often it did. That I could hold on to while I'm releasing a bunch of other shit that really just fucking weighs me down to such a degree that I don't even want to be me. Like, I'm so fucking over my own existence, it's ridiculous. And yet there's a massive push to present a perspective that I have not yet heard spoken or practiced. And it's fucking freaking me the fuck out, because in times past, people who presented sort of fresh perspectives got fucking hung, you know, up in politics, let's say, or social fucking outcasts like cancel culture and other shit. And yet, in order for me to be me and to flow, to want to live, to want to participate, the things that I have to be most grateful for are the oddest, most outlandish perspectives that I hold that I have not yet sort of practiced or revealed, because I'm afraid of essentially people's reaction to me. You know, whether it's whatever it is, it's, you know, I'm one of those people that just rub fucking everybody the wrong way. Not everybody. I don't know how to present a perspective that I already know very few people are going to understand. And it's also sort of immense. Like, I need fucking years to just unload. So who's got the willpower to stick around for that? Because having conversations of sections of the perspective, and lots of it is already out there in communication in other forms and other platforms, and in the past, coming on 4 years now that I stayed silent and not vocalized my perspective, it hasn't changed. It really hasn't. But what I've seen is a host of other people starting to realize and understand, you know, slivers and parallels of this perspective that I hold in part, and how the whole picture is even more sort of relevant than I really thought. Because at first, when you've got this sort of perspective, it's like you're insane, really, because it's so far and outlandish and so thoroughly fucking weird that even though it makes 100% sense to me, it's you know, it's hard to see or understand just how other people's existence or brains or perspectives function, like how other people pick up on reality and deal with it. I've always been kind of stuck between like the spiritual and the physical world, being kind of inactive in both and being trapped between the two. And I don't know, I just fucking can't explain it. But haven't been able to make good of the physical, so nobody believes me, like, oh, he doesn't know what you're talking about, look at his fucking life. That's been the curse of my existence so far, especially coming from my family, even though I'm fucking stuck here dealing with shit far beyond what I would ever want to sign up for in a fucking family. It's fucking insane. Christian, Holy Spirit filled, pray to God, fucking go to church, family. And it makes me doubt my own self and God and the Holy Spirit because of what I experience here. Even though everybody claims to be believing in the same thing, yet practicing things that are so biblically unwanted in a covert way, you know, with a smile on people's faces, why they fucking destroy other people's lives and not even know it, nor do they even want to sit down and hear or talk about it when somebody wants to say something. So how the fuck am I supposed to believe that I have this perspective that I have to deliver or enact, because it can't really be useful for a lot of other people? And this is one of my biggest battles in the past 3 years, is deliberately saying no to God, knowing full well that my approach to things or my perspective, if adopted by others, could really help other people in their lives. And I said, fuck you, God. Like, I'm not going to help your people when my family is being destroyed. And I don't mean necessarily the family that I was born into, but the family, my 3 boys and a fiance and, you know, whoever I tried to have responsibility over, who, you know, the people that I took responsibility over, and having those stolen from me and that opportunity and all of that lost. And even though I was introduced to different perspectives of the whole process lately, that it was meant to be, you know, nothing is permanent, and especially a person like me in their life, because certain characteristics and certain trademarks that I just couldn't contend with or try to figure out what the fuck, you know, about me. Now I understand that maybe there's a, you know, sort of legit reason why I am how I am, and the shit and how the shit happens to me. And that's a difficult, you know, perspective to contend with, but it doesn't make it untrue. And the more that I realize how life comes at me, especially when I'm trying to do something worthwhile for myself, and let's say for society or for the planet, or leave a legacy, or at least me trying to be me. You know, one of the most elusive things that I've had, you know, in my life is just me trying to be fucking me. And people just be, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's Daniel. Oh, that's entirely Daniel. Oh, wow. Fucking wow. Like, okay, stay away from that guy or whatever. But at least there's a full understanding of me and practice. I'm not trying to shrink myself, as it were, to, you know, limit myself to what people around me could sort of grapple with and accept. Like, okay, you know, we'll accept this much of you, but if you show all this other side of you, then start praying in fucking tongues and casting demons out of me just because I'm going through emotions. Are you fucking kidding me? So you get this perspective that I can't really contend with, and I don't even know how to fucking present it. And yet the reality is, you know, with me, it starts at home. And the overall thing that I want to do, or I'm called to do, or I realize I have to do, or realize I can do, or I just fucking want to test, period. Like, I want to, when I die, I want to stand in front of God and just simply ask him, was I right or was I wrong? That's it. Like, to play my max hand and then have him decide, like, yeah, no, you fucked up big time, or have him say, yeah, you know, well done, good and faithful servant, even though the shit that I did looked like horribly different from what people sort of expected to be called good and faithful servant. But yet, I'm imagining that in God's kingdom, there's all sorts of types of servants. And some fucking servants have to do some pretty nasty, you know, shit, because even just biblically speaking, it's fucking all outlined. And, you know, one of the biggest principles that I contend with is back in the Old Testament, before Jesus, we were living by flesh, so you kind of had to rule the flesh. And it says, you know, to take out like drunkards from amongst you, because like that attitude of being that kind of a person is so horrible for society that you have to get rid of the person if that person deliberately chooses not to deal with their drunkardness, right? So you have to eliminate them. And the way that the men were called to do it is quite literally take this person out and fucking bury him or pin him or something, and then start throwing fucking rocks at them until they die. Think about it. If you're a man and that was your responsibility, that you must do that, and that was your son that was condemned because for whatever fucking reason, he just flipped the lid and did not want to participate in life that we ought to have, and he started giving bad examples to everybody else, and now let's say 10% of society started becoming ineffective because of his influence, right? And so you opened yourself up as a society to all this other type of weakness and potential attack from other much more corrupt societies or whatever. Whereas God says, take care of the problem, and here's how you do it. You gotta destroy the flesh, you know? Especially if you believe in reincarnation. What the fuck? Okay, you fucked up. Something, whatever, bug entered your avatar and it's fucked up. You know what? Good luck next round. It shouldn't be that difficult of a thing, but you put emotionality into it, and all of a sudden, I bet anybody that hears this sort of story and has to force themselves to consider how they would perform, whether they would keep God's principles or not, I would guess most men are even the fucking most masculine men of us would refuse to do that very difficult thing. Whereas I'm dealing with something very similar. And in order for me to condemn the falseness of perspectives being practiced today relative to God's laws, right? Karmic laws, we're forced to make some very difficult decisions on behalf of how God ordained us to live life. And you might get fucking freaked out about me using the term God, but look at your laws. It's all the same shit. Stop killing people. Stop hurting people. Stop stealing from people. Stop talking shit on people. You know, and let people free will live their best life without interference. And that's every law that, you know, you're concocting aims to do some of that, unless it's a law designed to take advantage of you by people who've learned how to fucking manipulate people. And manipulation, again, is one of those things that God says, no, 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 because you'll get fucking severely spanked. And yet, we're allowing it to happen as men, rampant on this fucking planet, where God is trying to prove a very fucking sort of severe and heavy-duty point regarding free will that goes far beyond your and my personal existence. Like, don't take fucking life so personally. It's not yours, period. But all that have it, there's rules, there's laws by which we ought to practice it. How many people would be willing to chastise, to stone a person with that behavior to death, just so that society, so that God could be more welcomed within the society, or that the society that men are creating is more appealing to the God to whom we are pretending to create society for, right? That's society. People getting along. People fucking kumbayaing in a way where nobody gets left behind. Nobody's really suffering. Everybody's got plenty. Everybody's fed. And the super do-gooders get a little bit more, right? That's the balance. Well, how far are we from that? And what are the little things that are hindering? And then you start introducing perspectives like this that we're fucking forced to consider and to deal with, and then we start seeing just how far we are allowing shits to go that we are not dealing with. So since Jesus, everything got reset, not reset, amped up, because it's no longer about the flesh. So he says, yeah, don't do that. Don't kill the flesh anymore, because now we have grace. But by grace, he said something like, okay, he didn't come to like cancel the old law regarding the flesh. He said, come to fulfill it. So in other words, all that shit still stays, but not in the way that it was limited to. So in other words, you simply kill the flesh, but you still have to kill that attitude, right? So I am still responsible to chastise my son in public, right? To what are we calling it? Cancel culture, right? To denounce him and his behavior in public, to let public know that as a father who brought this person into this planet, I severely do not agree with his lifestyle, and regardless of what he tells you about who he is, I've seen him manipulate and lie to the degree that he is unbelievable, and here's what he practices. And until that changes, which change is very possible because that's the premise of this whole fucking project. So I have to believe that change is possible at all levels, and that's why God's grace and all this other like stuff is like thrown into the mix, you know, in a way where we are not yet understanding. But the beginning point is first you point out the areas where grace might abound, where we have deviated so fucking far from a holistic perspective that kind of works for everybody to the individualized sects of perspective that work for groups of people, but put other people, marginalizes other people, right? Like, let's say I'm a good father, like normally good father. Like, I'm trying to do my best. Like, I fucking put a lot of effort into trying to raise my 3 boys, but because of this culture, way too many people made me appear to be the wrongdoer because of certain little things, how I had to do things in light of what was going on around me. And many people, especially women, decided like, oh, look, he's doing it wrong, like his feelings and blah, blah, blah. And this kind of fucking pervasive shit made me to be the bad guy, whereas prospectively speaking, I was not, period. How do I contend with that? Who is on my side to set that shit straight, right? Even when I did the most difficult things, give space and free will to everybody around me, even my son, who decided just out of the blue that he has nothing to do with me for I don't even know what reason. Cool. Destroy my fucking inner being, that's fine, but it's your free will. I don't know where you got that idea from. I don't know what it's based on, because he wouldn't tell me what I said 3.5 years ago to make him decide. And he just turned 18. But if I'm going to preach free will, if I'm going to acknowledge that everybody has free will to do what they want so long as they don't hurt the people around them or others, then I have to let him practice it to the degree that he's not hurting others around him, even though it fucking goes against and hurts me the most. That's the responsibility that we have. On the other hand, my other son, who's turning out to be a fucking narcissistic piece of shit like his mom lies to me in a way where it just blows my mind how evident the truth is, and he's still willing to lie and, more importantly, refuse any type of logic and help. And there's very fucking sad reasons why that is, but that is happening right now. Yes. No. I'm not gonna touch him on a physical level. I told him I'm gonna kick his ass out if he gets physical. I'm ready to call the cops and all that. He's threatened my life. Cool. I'm gonna have to deal with that. He's right. He's very upset at me for bringing him into the world. I got baby trapped. He can't understand that I did not want a baby with that woman. She just fucking lied to me, and then here's the result. And I didn't get an option of whether she ought to abort or not. I just told her I will be there for my son. And I also told her that same day that there's no way I'm going to marry her if she doesn't become the woman that she needs to become to be my wife. Period. And I held both of those things true until my son now is 22. But I could still hold the third thing true, which if he so chooses to deviate so far from fucking reality, I don't have to support him. I don't have to back him up. I told him I'm not his... I didn't really say it this way, but this is how he's starting to understand it, that I'm not his dad, his father. I don't have to contend for him or with him in the direction that he so decisively put himself on, that goes so against what I have always believed in before he even came to this planet. And there's no level of manipulation and crying. It hurts like a motherfucker to experience these things. Like this is another world. This is living hell in the psychological realm, especially after being a single dad and having full custody, and then everybody else had their little say so. So this is one of the reasons why I'm fucking collapsing this whole fucking system, because it did me dirty for no fucking reason. And so that grants me the authority to fucking collapse it. If I could collapse it within my own realm, then you bet your ass anybody who is also victim in this way can collapse it in their own realm too. We just call that a class action lawsuit in the karmic realm once we get a hold of some of these basic principles. But so I'm literally faced with having to protect my narcissistic dad against my fucking alcoholic son, who just turned that way in the past couple of years since he started working and started drinking at 18 at this restaurant, this country club and restaurant, where he was encouraged to by his employer, his supervisor, and all men who were, in their 20s and 30s in the kitchen. And I'm the one dealing with this now. Even though I quit drinking 18 years ago, my dad's still hounding me that I'm a fucking alcoholic. Shoot, bro, I haven't fucking touched alcohol I put my tongue in a couple times on, they had good Hungarian shit. I always test it, Cseresznye pálinka, you guys don't even know what that is. But, vagy szilva pálinka, jó otthoni, vagy valamilyen külföldi. So, enough to get the flavor, knowing full well that and you feel it, your mouth starts salivating, especially the first few years and decade, I just smelled certain alcohol and just my mouth is watering. Then that to me is an immediate sign that, okay, my body still has this impulsive reaction to alcohol. There's no way I'm going to touch that shit because I know exactly where it leads, right? And so for 18 years, I've kept myself completely clean and away from it in that way. To get drunk, to even have a sip. Never, I accidentally sipped into a couple of, especially nowadays, what the fuck is this world coming to? There's these juice bottle looking things advertised like it's for fucking kids, and then it says 12%. And it's not 12% fucking juice. It says right there, 12% alcohol of something that smells like, you know, Kool-Aid with a little kick. That's the world we're living in. So a few times at some gatherings, I take a sip of, I grabbed what thought was my soda, it was somebody else's, or I opened something, I thought it was a soda, it's dark, didn't have my glasses, whatever. A sip, and my instant reaction is to spit the shit out. And I caught my body doing that even when my brain wasn't even thinking. When I'm thinking, I'm going to take a sip of my Sprite, and I tasted something that was alcohol, and just my body just spit it out. I trained myself to do that. That's how guarded I am against that thing. It's a heavy duty process. I paid my price in a fucking grand way back in the 90s and 2000s when I fucked around with all that shit. But to this day, in this environment, I'm still accused of being an alcoholic, or the reason why things don't work out for me is I don't even want to go there. It's surreal how a perspective of you that is not true for almost 2 decades now is still being hovered and bombarded or weaponized against you. And I just went through this yesterday with my sister and through a series of texts. She stole 5 hours of my life because of her lack of understanding. No matter what languages I use with this fucking woman who lives in Texas now, has nothing to do with what's going on here, she would not stop coming at me. And so I have this perspective that's a little bit, you know, bigger than what she's willing to contend with. But because of her involvement in my life, in my family that I was born into, being the oldest of us, and being a girl, a woman, and being the privileged life that she had, especially pretty privilege and Christian privilege and feminine privilege and every fucking privilege that God could assign through like an average person on this planet she lived with, and now is harassing a grown man who is simply trying to heal and get on with the thing that he needs to do. And the way she relentlessly was coming at me, lacking understanding, accusing me of everything, it just blows my fucking mind. It blows my mind that even while I'm trying to do good and be good and do what I feel like God is calling me to, or is calling, or I don't even know how to fucking describe it anymore because I'm so disattached from people and God and reality. And not that I'm not recognizing reality for what it is. Disattachment's like, I just don't want to fucking deal with it anymore because the layers of perspectives are so not overwhelming, so complete that what I see in reality with all these layers of perspective, it just doesn't add up. And how peaceful life is around me is sure to end very shortly or quickly, because this sort of social structure of house of cards is about to collapse, because this is fucking bullshit. And people putting pressure on people that they have no fucking responsibility to, out of sport, out of fucking boredom, out of what the fuck does that bitch have to do with me and her programming that she will not leave a fucking grown-ass man alone to fucking, who's trying to literally survive on this planet, and she's got this fucking mansion in Texas, and destroying my inner being, and her husband, that fucking pussy-ass motherfucker, won't even intervene to tell her to shut the fuck up. Or to sit down and say, hey honey, you might be wrong here, maybe you should be quiet. Right? And this is happening everywhere. So I'm seeing all this, I have to do what I want to do, or what I can do. And it seems so much to, like, it doesn't go against the grain, but in many ways it has to, it It does, because I cannot do what I need to do while I'm constantly being attacked or susceptible to these kinds of energetic attacks or thievery. 5 hours. 5 hours while I'm fucking working to build value into, this, my family's legacy house that we've been here for 40 years, that's gonna fucking go back to the bank because people are so fucking stupid around here. And refusing to have adult conversations, but bicker as fucking nagging fucking kids. It's insane. How do I balance that? How do I present my perspective while living within this perspective? And that's the thing that I'm so just upset about, that hang on. It feels like catch-22. I'm trapped in this place. I've been trying so desperately to move, get out of here, and hand the responsibility of my father onto somebody else, but nobody's going to take it. And while I'm still here, they are fucking making my life a living hell, for a simple fact that my dad is manipulating me and constantly telling me, I'm not even going to get into that yet, and none of my siblings are willing to sit down and sort of address heavy duty issues with me, right? Issues that I consider heavy duty because I'm the fucking one that's here. All three of them have functioning families, husbands, wives, kids, so they're responsibly plate. We're living in Southern California, Orange County. If you know your fucking demographics, geographics, it's fucking heavy duty cost wise and everything else wise. But it is what it is. And then somebody like me is left to deal with this bullshit, and on top of that, they're gonna have to deal with that bullshit while I'm dealing with my own bullshit. And at some point, those emerging perspectives are just, one, they counter each other, and two, each one in their individual right is fucking already heavy duty and overwhelming, let alone all three occurring simultaneously. It's just fucking maddening. And it comes back to God. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to do what I need to do when every element of my life is just simply fucking far more overwhelming than most people on this fucking planet? I understand that one person has a section, or maybe a few people have a lot, or 2/3 of what I'm dealing with. But how? How can I be so fucking left so far alone that there's not one fucking person that's able to help me, and not in any particular way, but just in understanding, or how am I expected to fucking deal with all this shit? So, and he comes back, and he keeps coming back to this original thing, because 3.5 years ago, when I wanted to launch this, none of this comparison, none of this was here, and I think my mom was still alive, or just passing, and I had faith, and I had vision, and had I done the initial round, I already knew then that this heavier, more in-depth global perspective of things that I sort of see and understand was already in the background. But the practice of walking with God in faith, in manifesting basically, or bringing, what is in heaven to earth, right? That's our daily prayer. Was through those physical processes that seem to come so naturally for most, but so elusive to some like me. So this rant, like everything else, is gonna go recorded. That I opened my mouth, and even though I was thrashing around in the physical, in the spiritual, in the psychological, essentially causing commotion just for someone to realize, like, fuck, that guy needs some kind of help. Not being able to trust anybody, including God, almost, if it wasn't for this external perspectives, downloads, or realizations, or somebody outside of me, namely coming through YouTube now, helping me see that maybe I'm here for a reason, and all this shit that I've been dealing with for decades and decades is actually valid. The weight of it is justified because of the particular way in which I've always seen things and see things. But to make that function will always be up to me, because it's free will, because it's my ability and willingness to exercise it, to bring it forth, to make it, viable on this planet, right? As in heaven, so on earth. But in order for me to do that, I'm going to need massive amounts of help, or at least specific types of help from people, because at the end of the day, we are in it together. I am this way because of all the people that fucked around with me in their own way, in their holier than thou. My dad loves to tell me I'm evil. It's gonos. You look around and if you're like, I don't know, not even a religious person, you look at my life in terms of like how I do and live, like you'd be like, what the fuck is evil about that guy, other than maybe how you might perceive my energy or my attitude. But like the physical things that I actually do in life, like give me a fucking break. And yet my internal, my psychology, my emotions, and thus for my energy, are fucking destroyed by his words, by the words of my sister, holding me accountable for shit that I've never even said, putting attitudes on me that I don't have, and coming against me nonstop in a way where it is a theft of my life, just in standing still to protect myself so I could breathe and try to establish and move forward from within my own existence that I'm responsible to, namely my own life and my kids' life, not theirs. It's nightmare, and I don't know how to grab a hold of it while at the same time feeling like I'm about to lose this calling or this thing, because it is fucking heavy duty. And I don't know, fuck, maybe I am retarded. Maybe I am just have experienced so much pressure that I don't see shit straight anymore. That I have become so withdrawn from society that I'm loony in a little bit. But on the other hand, every time I do go, and like this new church that I went to, or like the coffee shop that I go to, I'm telling you, for 2 years I've been attending this fucking coffee shop, and just automatically I get free drinks. I don't know how the fuck that shit works, but almost a few months into it, and now morning, noon, and night, I don't get it. And they're pretty strict about not even having refills, but I get free coffee, which is a massive blessing, especially when you have no money, and literally just a cup of coffee, which is very, very good to begin with, just blesses you, okay, somebody fucking cares enough to give me a cup of coffee when I'm down to my last $5 and I don't have to spend it, but I would, just because I need, that attention, and then I have a peaceful place to sit and write and process and digest. And And then people start showing up, and everybody, oh, you're unique. And oh, I've never really talked to people. And you talk to people that, just it seems like it makes a difference to them on that individual level. And then you come home and you're being fucking torn apart for no fucking reason. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fucking make sense unless this thing that I am carrying is what it is. And it is that big. And if it is that big, then how the fuck do I get a hold of it? Where do I keep screwing up? And the reality is there's that verse, a prophet is not without honor in his own home or village. Like, in other words, I shouldn't expect these people to understand me because they've been around me all my life. And so they've already condemned me to a level or a track in life. Oh, that's just Danny, and you go a little bit outside of that, like, oh, see, they told you it was crazy. And not giving me room to breathe and to explore my thoughts to see how valid they are. So in a large part, this whole channel, this whole project is aimed at self-discovery, but in a way where everybody should be able to apply it to themselves. But I'm gonna have to apply it to my life, right? And I'm gonna have to exemplify my life so that you see that the application works, right? So in other words, the original premise was, well, let's see what effect God has on life. That means, well, here's how it started, look where it went to. And here's how it started is the problem, is the thing that I have a big problem with. Because for me to, one, outline at the very least, or show in detail what my life has been, where I've gotten my personal perspectives and characteristics from, and all these bad sort of things that accumulated, to show where it's changed, I have to reveal myself, my family. And that was part of the biggest dilemmas on how to do that, especially regarding my boys and their mom and all those lessons that I've learned through them, and why. Now, 3 years later, most of the world, I'm starting to see in lots of different podcasts that they're starting to grapple with many of the same deeper understandings of partnering with female life on this planet than I've had, and the sort of reservations and perspectives that I've had, 5 years before, in generating my understanding of what the fuck is going on around here. And so now that is gonna definitely set the playing field, reset everything. But my role is gonna be a little bit different, because it does get a lot heavier than what most people just tend to see. But to be able to expose all of my sins and all of my wrongdoings and all of my involvement or contributions to that system, that's starting point number one. Like, here's what I'm responsible for, here's what I'm at fault for, here's what I can change, and here are the positives, or here are the things that I can be grateful for that I've learned or have held, or are embodied within me that I've neglected and didn't pay attention to, and now I'm discovering. And that's the starting point, and that requires a level of just honesty and accountability and bravery, because there's many deep things that are so difficult to sort of contend with, that, and I've gone through the list of everything that I've practiced in my mind, so I understand just how much bravery it's going to take to talk about certain things, regardless, especially because of how people are going to view it, especially now that I'm very fucking in tune with what social media is, and the depths of the people and just how they've exposed themselves. But maybe that's what's going to make it fun, because real is real, and so is real fake. and we're just gonna see what's real and what's fake. But the divide has started in 2020. You know, it's simple to see who's right side up and who's upside down. It's just more difficult for an individual to identify whether they're upside down or they're the ones right side up. And we could see a lot of people that are upside down identifying as right side up. Well, from their perspective, they are right side up, but they're just upside down on logic, principles presented by somebody, you know, like an external point, like an external source, not what they find here within the planet. But the catch-22 is that external point is found through sources here within the planet. So it becomes a little bit difficult to decipher if it originated from here within the planet, or the presentation of it originated, but the source of it is from an external source outside of this snow globe petri dish fucking planet. Yeah. Even cold is good. But change is inevitable. Yeah, it just needs a spark and an agent properly placed, and we could change. The kiss! Gizmo. Gizmo.